Goldman Sachs is out with earnings right now. So earnings coming in at $5.08 a share. That is well above expectations. But the number, FIC, sales and trading revenue coming in at $2 billion. That is above estimates and also slightly above what we saw from them in the third quarter. So FIC sales coming in $2 billion above estimates, slightly above third quarter, and earnings also a beat as well. Obviously, the numbers are just beginning to trickle out right now. But Allison, is this kind of in line with what you were expecting, or is that better?
So I guess, the first thing I look at, so we saw the FIC numbers. We're also going to look at equities numbers. So 159, that looks almost right in line with estimates. FIC better. The big beat, I think I would also next look to the investing lending line. So that tends to be where we get surprises. There was probably a help there in terms of what happened with markets in the fourth quarter. That tends to be a little bit more volatile, and obviously one of the key questions around that this quarter is going to be with regard to Volcker, and does management sort of have any thoughts on what might happen there under the new administration? And
just to reiterate here, earnings per share coming in $5.08. That may not compare with the estimates, just to keep that in mind. To reiterate the numbers, FIC sales coming in at $2 billion. Trading revenue for equities, $1.59 billion. That's what Allison was just alluding to. Overall trading revenue coming in at $3.6 billion. That was better than estimates, but slightly below what we saw for the third quarter. But this is interesting, John. The total staff decreasing 7% during 2016. Yeah. We heard that from Bank of America, too. The headcount was down 2%. You got Deutsche Bank potentially no bonuses for senior bankers. That's still a theme, that headcount theme.
Yeah, the headcount theme. How's that going to develop, Alison? Because a lot of people used to spin the story that if you reduce bonuses to the extent that Deutsche Bank may be doing, that the others will come in and take your best talent. Is that how we're set up for 2017?
So I think for Goldman, we're going to want to see what the increase was specifically in the quarter. I'm sort of looking for the number now. So there was about a 500-person decrease, but a lot of the full year cut likely came through the first half. They made fairly significant cuts in the first half just in response to the environment. And in the fourth quarter, it tends to be seasonally a quarter where we see declines. We're going to want to hear more about that, because the one interesting thing happening at Goldman, it's been happening at all the banks, is not just what is the overall level, but what is the mix. And so a lot of the increases that they've had over the last several years have really been in what they refer to as the federation. It's a lot of back office building, compliance building. And again, under the new administration, the question is, do we start to see a change in that mix going forward? Will there be a shift more towards revenue producing personnel and away from these sort of support and compliance staffing?
Which we've heard from Bank of America. Brian Moynihan told David Weston just that. So more the front office, less the back office. Morgan Stanley, though, really touting those costs as well. Lisa, to your area of expertise, we have the FIC results up 78%. At Goldman, 78%. Put that into perspective for us.
Well, the other three major trading houses that have reported, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and JP Morgan, had a 40% combined increase, as Allison noticed yesterday. So this is a considerable increase even over the other banks that we saw in the fourth quarter. A pretty amazing quarter for fixed income.
So, Allison, as we head towards the call in about a couple hours, what's going to be the biggest question as you look through some of these numbers? FIC up 78%. You do have a slight decrease in equities trading, around 9%. What's the biggest question mark for you?
So I think it is client sentiment. How is that going? How is that trending? What can it tell us about the outlook? How sustainable is it, right? Earnings are backward looking. We always want to know what the outlook is. What are the pipelines? As I said, we want to hear more on Brexit, and we want to hear about Volcker.
Well, but Allison, one question that I have is Goldman Sachs has emphasized their technology prowess. How concerned are you, or how much are you focusing on what they have to say about their tech advancement?
I think that's something that I'd obviously love to hear more about, but it's just one of those things that it's a very small part of their business right now, so they'll probably defer to give more detail until that effort has made further progress. They did talk about it last quarter, that they finally had made their first loan. And so I think investors are going to be watching that, because it is such a deviation for Goldman Sachs. So whatever they tell us, we're going to be happy to hear, but we might not hear that much.